In today's video, I want to share with you some of the attractions in Japan that I think you can skip and some of the ones that you absolutely must do. Hi friends, my name is Sarah and welcome to my channel. But before I share the list with you, just know that we had a pretty good experience for all of these attractions, even the ones that I think you can skip. Since I did go to 3 different cities in Japan, I went to Tokyo, Osaka, and Kyoto. I'm gonna categorize the list into 3 by the cities that they're at. Let's start with Tokyo first. If you have been following for a while, you might know that we spend the most time in Tokyo because Tokyo is so big. There are so many different neighborhoods and areas that we want to go to, but we didn't even get to go to all of them. So I'm saving the ones that we didn't get to do for our next trip, hopefully sometime in the future. But let me just go over a couple attractions that I think you can probably skip in Tokyo. The first one is the Art Aquarium Museum in Ginza. Let me just tell you the reason why I think you can skip and also why I cannot highly recommend this exhibition. It is just because I feel like it's a little bit borderline maybe animal abuse. If you have been there, you probably know what I'm talking about. Although the exhibition was really pretty, they really thought out the whole concept, but when you see the little details that goes into it, you kind of realize that this might not be right for the goldfish. And maybe it's just me, but I just feel really bad for those fishes. There's this one part of the exhibition where there are a bunch of square-ish fish tank or fish aquarium in the middle, and it kind of showcased the many different types of goldfish, which honestly I had no idea before I went to this exhibit. I just thought there's only one goldfish type, but there are actually plenty, and you'll see in this little squarish tank that there's like at least 3 or 4 fishes. There's also some decoration in there, and when I take a close-up video footage of those fishes, it seems like they are asking me to help them. Their swimming area is just very limited, and then they have to share it with 3 or 4 other fishes. Something is a bit off for me. I just didn't really like that, and I couldn't really highly recommend this exhibition for you. Like I said, it's still a very beautiful piece of art slash exhibition, but I just kind of question the reasoning of the small tank and all of that. That is why I couldn't highly recommend, and that's also the reason why I think you could skip this attraction. Number 2 is a day trip to Yokohama. I think you can definitely skip this if you don't have anything that you want to see in Yokohama. If you are going to Japan after March 31st, 2024, I think the Gundam factory should be closed already by then. I think they were supposed to close in the past a couple times, and they kept extending their opening. I'm not sure if that's the case for 2024, but if they are closed and there's nothing else that you want to see in Yokohama, you can definitely skip a day trip to Yokohama. For me, it was still pretty cool to see because I kind of want to see the big Gundam at the Gundam factory move around. Because we went at the time when the factory is not closed yet, I think it would still worth it to go to Yokohama. We also went to have a really late lunch or early dinner, I guess, at Hotel New Grand, which is where the spaghetti Napolitan dish was first created. I love pasta, and I love that show First Love on Netflix. I just kind of like really connected to that dish, so I thought it would be cool to actually go into Hotel New Grand and experience that. It's not really as special as I thought it would be. That's why I feel like you can skip Yokohama, because I'm sure there are other places in maybe Tokyo, Osaka, or Kyoto that have spaghetti Napolitan that may be better and cheaper. The next thing that I feel like you can skip in Tokyo is Meiji Jingu in Harajuku. I think it was just an okay shrine. And that's because I've seen some other ones in Kyoto that is prettier and a little bit more interesting to me. However, when I did go to Meiji Jingu, there was actually a traditional Japanese wedding ceremony happening. I didn't take any pictures and videos because I want to respect their privacy, but it was pretty cool experience to witness, especially if you have never seen it before and it is your first time in Japan. The bride was wearing this very traditional wedding attire. It comes with that big white headdress, or I don't know what the actual term is, but it was just really cool to see. But I think just the Meiji Jingu attraction in general, I think you can skip it because there are many other shrines that are more interesting to me, in my opinion, in Kyoto. The next thing that I feel like you can skip is the Mount Fuji ropeway ride. I know I actually went because I got a combination tickets for the ropeway and the boat ride, but I don't think the ropeway ride is worth the wait time. When you get up there, honestly, I didn't really get to do much because they were closing at 2 p.m. and then there's just a long line line to actually go back down, and then we also have to catch the last boat ride. So I want to make sure that we get to go up to the summit of the ropeway ride, look around, take some pictures, and then we actually went back in line to go back down, which is why I feel like you can definitely skip this. If you have seen my Mount Fuji video, you'll notice that once you get into the Fuji Yoshida and Kawaguchi area, you can see Mount Fuji from anywhere. Just pray and hope that you went on a clear day. You don't have to go up the Mount Fuji ropeway to see Mount Fuji. I'm hoping that this video can kind of help you out, especially if you are kind of on the fence about an attraction or two and whether or not you should add it into your own Japan itinerary. And let me know in the comment below if you have been to Japan and if you have gone to these attractions, if you agree with me or not to skip it. With that being said, let's go over to the attraction that you absolutely have to do. And speaking about Mount Fuji area, I think the Lake Kawaguchi boat ride is totally worth it. It's a 20-minute ride and it was actually pretty cool to sail around Lake Kawaguchi, but then you also again get the view of Mount Fuji from the water level. And if you have been walking around the whole day, that 20-minute is definitely helpful because you can just sit and relax and enjoy the boat ride, enjoy the scenery. So if you have to choose between the ropeway and the boat ride, definitely do the boat ride. The next attraction, I guess, that you have to do in Tokyo is ride the Shinkansen, and also make sure you get some ekiben to eat during your ride. I actually only went on 2 Shinkansen rides, one from Tokyo to Kobe, and then the second one was from Kyoto to go back to Tokyo. And both ways, I make sure that I got some ekibens. I even got the same one, which was the pork cutlet one, and oh my gosh, that is my favorite ekiben ever. If you are going on the Shinkansen on your first trip to Japan, make sure you get those ekiben. Another thing that I want to say about the Shinkansen is that buying tickets for the trip is actually pretty easy. I think I might actually upload a video about how I get our Shinkansen tickets from the app called SmartX app. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss that video. You can actually search the train by the time, by the train type, and you can also get the non-reserved tickets on the app. And if you do decide to get the reserved seating, you can also pick and choose your seat from the app. The next attraction, and I feel like not a lot of people agree, is to eat at an Ichiran ramen on like your first couple days in Japan. I feel like you just have to experience it at least once. Wait in the line, order the ramen, and also eat in the individual booth. Let me know in the comment below if you agree. I'm just gonna say this and I probably will spoil it for you. Ichiran ramen is not gonna be the best ramen you eat in Japan because there are so many other places that are probably way better, but I think you just have to go for the experience. It's kind of like an initiation for yourself or in Japan, and you just gotta get that Ichiran ramen dinner on your first night in Japan. The last thing that I want to say about an attraction that you absolutely must do, I think, in Tokyo is to go to Sunshine City in Ikebukuro, especially if you are a fan of Pokemon. There are many Pokemon centers throughout Japan, especially in Tokyo, and there are many bigger ones than the one in Sunshine City. I feel like it's just a Pokemon heaven, especially for anyone who is a Pokemon fan, because even when you go up the stairs or the elevators to go to the level where the Pokemon Center is located, there's like a bunch of Pokeball that you can see on the ceiling, and then when you get to that level in front of the Pokemon Centers, there's actually Pokemon figurines, and I'm pretty sure those are the original Pokemons, I want to say. If you want to reminisce from like your childhood back in the mid-90s ish, you should go to Sunshine City and just take a look at some of the Pokemon stuff that they have there. There's actually 2 Pokemon related stores there, I think. One is the Pokemon Centers, which actually sell a lot of those Pokemon character merchandise, and there's another one where it's more about the trading card games. When we were there, there's not a lot of people at the other store, so I'm not really sure how that works. Before going to the next city, which is Osaka, let me know in the comment below what are some of the attractions that you think you can skip in Tokyo and something that you absolutely must do in Tokyo according to your own experience. So let me know in the comment below. I feel like everybody else who are watching this video would definitely find that helpful. I also went to Kobe, but I only went for one day and we didn't really do as much as I planned to, so I couldn't really come up with a list of things to skip and things to do. But if you spend maybe more than 2 days in Kobe, let me know what are some of the attractions that is your favorite in Kobe and some of the ones that you can skip. Let's talk about Osaka. I only spent 2 nights in Osaka, so I didn't really, again, have an extensive list of things to skip and to do, but I do have one that I think you can definitely skip, and that is the Sutenkaku Tower. I'm hoping that I'm saying it right, but if you don't know which which one I'm talking about, this is the tower that you can see, I think, from the Shinsekai area of Osaka. It is still pretty, especially if you get to see the tower from the bottom level, but I would not really highly recommend going up the tower. And I will tell you a few turnoffs on why I think you can skip going up the observation deck, but you can still go to the area and see the tower from the outside because it is still pretty, but I don't recommend going up the observation deck at all. The line is super long. You have to go down the basement first. There's a long line there, and then once you get to the elevator to go actually up the observation deck, you thought that that is the time where you would actually go see the observation deck. No, it wasn't. There's more line to go through. And the other turnoff is that when you're waiting in line, they would actually take one of those touristy pictures before you actually get to see the observation deck. And honestly, that was just a turnoff for me. I didn't even buy the photos. I actually didn't want to take my pictures, but they insisted. Maybe I could have been a little bit more stern, so they would just let me skip the photo taking thing. But I just feel like that was kind of a turnoff. I haven't even experienced the observation deck, and now you want me to take a picture like I have experienced the observation deck. I feel like if they put that whole photo taking thing before we exit, that would be an even better experience. Now let's go over some of the attractions that I think you absolutely must do in Osaka, and I have 3 of them. The first one is the Osaka Castle. I don't know about you, but I love to see old houses, palaces, castles that people used to live at. It was just kind of interesting to see how people used to live back in the day. It's amazing how they can build the whole castle a couple hundred years ago, and it's still standing to this day. You could actually go inside the castle and go up to the upper level to look at Osaka from up above. But if you want to do something pretty affordable and doesn't cost you anything, you can definitely walk around the Osaka Castle Park, and you do get to admire the whole building from the outside, which I think is the best. Obviously, if you do go in, you can probably see a little bit more about the history of the castle, maybe see how the interior looks like. Honestly, I didn't do it because there's a long line for the ticket, especially if you don't have reservation. But to me, seeing it from outside is actually pretty cool, and then you can walk around, take a lot of good pictures with the Osaka Castle and the fall leaves because we went in November. And I would highly recommend you actually put Osaka Castle into your must-to-do list in Osaka. The next thing that you absolutely have to do in Osaka is to visit the Dotonbori area. There are just so many things going on, and there's obviously a lot of people, but there are different area of the Dotonbori that is not as crowded, and you can actually get on one of those boat rides sailing through the river or the canal, and you get to see all of the famous signs like the Glyco sign from the water, and then they go one way, so one side can take a picture of the famous signs, and then when they U-turn, the other side get a chance to take pictures with the famous signs. So honestly, it's worth it to pay a little bit extra to go on one of those boat rides, and it's just one thing that you absolutely have to do in Dotonbori. The next thing is another kind of like water type attractions, and that is the Aqualiner Osaka water bus. And you can actually take this ride after you walk around the Osaka Castle Park. But after you are done walking around the Osaka Castle Park, you can go to this other park, and that is where the water bus is at. On that day when we were going to the Aquabus location, there's actually like a ramen showdown or something going on. There's basically, I think, 10 ramen shops that have like a booth there, and you can pay 1,000 yen for the basic bowl, and then if you want to pay extra for the toppings, you can use cash. We didn't have cash at the time, but I did actually go to the ATM after we got our ramen bowl. Anyways, going back to the Aquabus, I think this is something that you absolutely want to do when you are in Osaka. I don't know about you, but I really like the water, the ocean. I love cruising and stuff like that. One specific thing that is pretty unique into this water bus, when you get on the boat, everything is enclosed, but halfway to the right, everything can open. You can get like an open air boat ride experience, and it was just really cool. I'll definitely show you like the footage of the whole thing opening up, and I highly recommend adding this into your list. I feel like I've been talking for so long, but finally we are on the last stop, or at least for my stop in Japan, which is Kyoto. It was actually kind of excited for me to finally go to Kyoto because I've heard so many good things about Kyoto and how pretty it is, but it was also sad for me because that is our last stop in Japan before we had to go back to Tokyo and fly out of Japan. But let me just go over a couple things that you can probably skip on your next trip to Kyoto. The first one, and contrary to the popular beliefs, is the Arashiyama bamboo bamboo grove or bamboo forest. I definitely think you can skip this, especially if you don't have time. It's a little bit underwhelming for me. I feel like that's because at the time we went to the bamboo grove, it was actually overcast, it was cloudy, so it was kind of dark inside, and honestly it was kind of creepy and a bit scary for me. Maybe if it's clear and sunny day, it might be a different experience. Another thing about the Arashiyama area is that it is really popular. There were a lot of people who were on the sidewalk trying to go through the bamboo grove. With that being said, maybe if you went early in the morning, you might have a different experience. We did go at like maybe 1 or 2 p.m. I'm not a morning person. I will not, and I don't think I ever will, wake up super early to beat the crowd. Next thing that I think you can skip is the Maia Starbucks that are in the Kyoto Gion area. I would say that you could still go to the area because the area where the Starbucks is at is still pretty. There's a lot of really traditional looking stores and stuff like that, but I wouldn't really recommend going in and order a drink and try to find seats inside the Maia Starbucks because there were no seats, and I feel like they don't really put a time limit for how long people can stay. But I would still recommend going there and just admire the building from the outside. You can actually just stand and chill kind of like outside of the store. So I would say still go and experience the Maia store, but just don't expect to actually have a sit there and chill there unless you go early in the morning when they're open. And again, that was not my thing. I just wanted to pass by and see what the fuss is all about. But that was just based on my experience. I'm sure other people have a different experience, and if you do, let me know in the comment below what are some of your strategy to actually be able to sit in there other than obviously lining up first thing in the morning. So now that I kind of get all of the skip attraction out of the way, these are some of my highly recommendation for Kyoto. The first one is the Kyoto Imperial Palace, and we actually get to go there on the first day we are in Kyoto, about an hour or so before they close out the whole place. It was just really cool to walk around palaces, and like I mentioned earlier, I just love looking at how people used to live and how just grand everything is. Like I feel like if I have a lot of money and if I am royalty, I would definitely understand why they need such a big place to live. Once you get there, it feels like you're kind of taking back in time and just walking around the whole palace area like maybe people would back in the day. And I would highly recommend going to the Imperial Palaces. We didn't go to the one in Tokyo, so that's why we decided to go to the one in Kyoto. The next thing that I have on the recommendation for Kyoto is the Nijo Castle or the Nijo Castle. I think it's like a vacation home for one of the Japanese emperors back in the day, but I actually went after hours and I bought a ticket for the Naked Autumn Festival for Nijo Castle. You couldn't really see the whole architecture and building because it was obviously at night and it was already dark, but it was just a completely different experience. There's like a lot of interactive art that they project into the castle wall and some of the trees. If you have a chance to go to Nijo Castle in the morning in the daylight, do that, but also try to see if they have a special event that you can go to after hours. The next thing that I would highly recommend if you are into understanding some of the art and culture of Kyoto is to go to a Gion Corner performance. Gion Corner is like a performing arts center that specializes for travelers. They showcase a few different Japanese arts from back in the day. They have some musical number, comedy number, as well as puppet performances. I couldn't take any pictures or videos during the performance, but you can definitely check out their website for more information. They actually have 2 daily shows, one at 6 p.m. and another one at 7 p.m. It's actually a small theater, doesn't feel as crowded. Whichever seat that you choose, whether it be in the front or kind of like towards the back, you can see everything. I would highly recommend this performance. You get to see a little bit of everything and it's not as expensive and it's not as long as if you were to go to the actual performance. And they also have like a program in English so you can kind of understand what the performances is all about. Last but not least, and I feel like I went to this attraction because of TikTok, is the Maple Tree Tunnel trains. I actually just realized that I make a mistake on this, and I'm telling you this in this video so you don't make it for your Japan trip. Make sure to go when it gets darker, maybe like just right before the sun is setting. When you do go during the day, again, it's still pretty. There's a lot of light out, so you can definitely see everything clearer. However, those famous TikTok where they go through the Maple Tree Tunnel is when it's dark, so you get to see the vibrant colors even more. And if you do want to see it the way you see it from TikTok, I think the best time to go is when the sun is setting. But keep in mind, it might be crowded, and I feel like the train line is what people use to go home. Before you reach the maple tree tunnel, there's actually like people homes on the side. So it's not just train for travelers, but it's also for locals. And also, it's not the cheapest train ticket. I forgot how much it is per person for round trip, but it wasn't like 120 yen for like a regular train ride. So keep that in mind if you decided to go on the maple tree tunnel train rides. All right, I'm done with all of the lists that I have to skip and to do in Japan. Hopefully this is helpful for you, especially if you are still debating whether or not you want to spend some time and money on some of these attractions. Let me know in a comment below if you have been to Japan. What are some of the attractions that you think you can skip and some of the ones that you absolutely need to go, especially if they are different from the list that I have in this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I really appreciate you staying until the end of the video. I hope this has been helpful. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more Japan travel videos and recommendation videos, and I will see you on the next one. Bye!